Stoker. Arg.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Mixtape Podcast, the podcast dedicated to discussing film from a writer's perspective. My name is Marcelo Mastroza. I'll be your master of ceremonies for this time around, but I am joined as always by my fellow co-host, Dean Stark. And on today's edition of the show, we'll be talking about a 90s classic. We'll be talking about Bram Stoker's Dracula from 1992. So, as I do every week, I will pass it over to Dean to take us through this film.
Bram Stoker's Dracula was directed by Francis Ford Coppola. It was written by James V. Hart, and it's based on the book of the same name by, guess who? Bram Stoker. And if you don't know what this amazing movie is about, it is about this. Centuries-old vampire Count Dracula comes to England to seduce Mina Murray and inflict havoc on a foreign land. So the opening scene, there's like a monologue-y thing. The year in 1462, Constantinople has fallen. Muslim Turks sweep Europe with a vast superior force, striking at Romania. From Transylvania arose a Romanian knight of the Sacred Order of the Dragon known as Dracul. On the eve of the battle, his bride Elizabeta, whom he prized above all things on earth, knew he must face an insurmountable force. So now we're introduced to Count Dracula, which is Gary Oldman, and Elizabeta, which is Winona Ryder. He goes off to fight, and he wins. And the Turks are shifty. They send out false news to Elizabeta that Dracul fell in battle. A priest is there. And he tells Dracul that she took her own life because Dracul comes home from battle, is like, yay, I've won, and she's not fucking there. And he's like, what? And then that's when the priest tells her. And the priest says her soul is now damned because she took her own life. Well, Dracul loses it. He fucking loses it. And he starts renouncing God because he fought the battle in the name of God, for God. And he was basically saying, what was this all for? I fought for God. I won for him. And he doesn't just take my love, he damns her soul. So he yells at the top of his voice. And listen, Gary Oldman is absolutely pristine in this role. He said, I will rise from my death using the powers of darkness. And then he grabs his sword and he plunges it into this big ass cross that he's got in this room, and it spills out blood and he screams in anger. I love Gary Oldman. I love him in this. He takes it to another level. And also his battle gear is so cool. The design of it looks like blood. It's fucking epic. Anyway, what do you think of the opening scene? Because it's exposition. You needed it. It was 5-10 minutes of opening, but you needed that to kind of push the story forward.
I really think that there's 5 to 10 minutes of exposition giving us a sort of backstory on the individual that Dracula was before he became Dracula. I love how Francis sort of gave us this behind the scene, sort of gave us this quick origin story of who Dracula was as a person before he became Dracula, and the fact that he actually chooses to become Dracula after the universe or God has punished him, has taken away the person that he loves because of what he did by going into battle is such a interesting point of view. I really like the fact that Dracul becomes Dracula because he feels that he was betrayed by God.
So now we're in London, 1897, 4 centuries later. We're at Carfax District Lunatic Asylum, and we meet Renfield. Now, he's a lunatic because he's in the asylum, and he's talking to who we think is no one, and he's saying all the preparations are complete, master, and then he eats a fly. I would have liked to see more of Renfield in this because he only had a couple of scenes, but the movie's already long. I get we couldn't focus on him, but I like his character because he is Dracula is his master, so I would have liked a little bit more of him, but that's not what we got. Anyway, then we meet Jonathan Harker, which is Keanu Reeves, and he's a solicitor, and his boss tells him of a client that was previously Renfield's, but now is his, Count Dracula, and he has to leave for Transylvania immediately. Then we meet Mina, which is obviously Winona Ryder, and it is Jonathan Harker's fiancée. And he tells Mina he has to leave right away, but he wants to marry her, and they're going to get married when he returns. And they're loved up. They love each other. There's no issues between them. So it introduced Renfield. It was 4 centuries later. Thank God for time cards. It introduced Jonathan Harker. It introduced what he did as a job. And it introduced that he has to go to Transylvania. So what do you think?
I don't know how I feel about the Renfield character in this movie. I feel that he was essentially a big exposition machine. Now, I would have loved to see more of him, but I would have loved to see more of him if they would have given him something more to do instead of locking him in a cage and sort of be that character to tell the audience Dracula is coming. That's the only way that I would have accepted Renfield being a bigger part of this film. The fact that this law firm gives this lawyer, Jonathan Harker, a case that their old lawyer kind of went nuts over is kind of suspect to me.
They just want the money. This Dracula has like so much money and they need to get the deal done. They will go through 20 solicitors in order to get this deal done. They don't care about Renfield. They just like get it done.
Okay. The other thing that was kind of rushed to me was the introduction to the relationship between Harker and Mina. It was very, very
Quick.
quick and kind of lovey-dovey as like uh, I listen, I look, I love Keanu Reeves. I love Winona Ryder. You guys know that. And Dean, you know that.
Mhm.
But their chemistry specifically in this movie, for lack of a better word, didn't work for me.
Yeah, I think Keanu was miscast, and even he thinks he was miscast. And I think a lot of fans don't think he was right. I mean, I love Keanu, but some actors are not right for some roles. He's not right. I'm with you. I didn't feel the chemistry between them, but I did feel the chemistry between Winona and Gary. So, Jonathan, I love how this scene is shot. Jonathan travels by train, and I love the outside because the outside of the train, it's red. It looks like something from Total Recall. It looks red. It doesn't look natural. He reads a letter from Count Dracula welcoming him to Transylvania. And it's interesting because before we're in London and it looked normal. Now we're in Transylvania and it's like blood red. So I like the kind of juxtaposition that Francis Ford Coppola decided to use in that scene. And also, in the scene when he's reading the letter from Dracula, you see eyes in the background, like on the horizon. And it's really, I don't know, some people would think that's tacky. I liked it. It's ominous and it showed that he was watching him. So I like that. So anyway, he hops in a carriage and I love the set design in this movie. I love it. I just love anything 1800s, 1700s, 1900s. I just love the whole aesthetic of it. So he hops in a carriage and they're on the road and the driver stops and he drops him off and he's like, yeah, another carriage is going to come pick you up because I'm not going to go any further. That should be your first red flag that the carriage driver in Transylvania does not want to go any further anyway. What's his face? Jonathan Harker. He's standing there and the Count's carriage arrives and the driver of the carriage is creepy as fuck. You don't even see the face. He's got this weird like pointy mask on and he does this thing where he extends his hand and he's got this like glove on that's got these long claws on it and he reaches out to Jonathan and he literally just lifts him up and puts him in the carriage and it's so fucking creepy and you're like, oh my god. It's so creepy. Anyway, when they get to the castle, there are these several gates that close behind the carriage like a prison. So it's kind of showing you can't leave even if you wanted to. It's not just one castle gate. There's like 3 or 4. It's really weird. It's like Jonathan's looking back like, oh no. So if he wanted to leave, it would just be like super difficult. Jonathan enters the castle. He sees Dracula's shadow. And I love how Francis has done this. He's done this so that Dracula's shadow is independent from Dracula himself. So the shadow is doing something while Dracula's like over here doing something else. I love how he did that. So the shadow's on the wall, and then we see Dracula. A very old looking Dracula, does not look like Gary Oldman from the beginning. So what did you think about the tone, the creepiness, and just like this is the movie that we're going to get. That's the movie we're going to get.
I love the tone and I love the creepiness. And I'm so happy that you brought up the juxtaposition when we move from London to Transylvania and the blood red sky. I specifically like when Jonathan Harker is on the train and he's writing the journal entry, sort of telling the audience how his trip is going to go. And like you said, you see Dracula's eyes in the sky. I also like when the Transylvania carriage driver drops him off on the road and Jonathan Harker gets out of the cab and this woman hands him a cross. And you're like, why is this woman handing me a cross? So odd.
Yeah.
I love the way that Francis conveyed atmosphere and tone when Dracula's carriage goes into the main to the goes into his mansion. Like 3 or 4 gates close shut, so
Mm.
you aren't going anywhere. And like Dean said, if you wanted to escape, you couldn't. His shadow moving independently from what he's doing, genius,
Oh, yeah.
genius.
Total genius. So anyway, Dracula and Jonathan they're having dinner and they're having a conversation. Dracula signs the deed for Carfax Abbey. This was interesting. He sees, okay, Jonathan has a picture of Mina in a little locket thingy, right? And he was looking at it on the train. Now, when he was looking at it on the train, that's when the eyes appeared and Dracula saw the picture of Mina, which looks exactly like Elizabeta. So this is the bit that kind of trips me up. Jonathan, for some reason, now this wasn't shown, has the locket open on the table. Now, that's a very private thing, having a photo of someone that you love. I don't know why it's open on the table, because then Dracula picks it up and he looks at it, but he's seen it before on the train. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, why would he do that? And then there's a piece of dialogue where Jonathan goes, "Oh, I misplaced that. There it is." And I'm like, "What?" How it was literally in your jacket pocket. How could you? Why are you even taking it out? Why? I don't know. So Dracula asks Jonathan, you must stay for another month. Now, I don't know why Jonathan would agree to this. He literally went there to get a signature. Why he would stay for a month? No, I would have been like, yeah, I got to go back. But Jonathan is like, yeah, okay, if that's what you want, I'll stay. And I'm like, I mean, there's a reason he needs Jonathan to stay, and that'll be presented in the movie. But I feel like Jonathan could have put up more of a fight. He's already got the signature. He could have said something. But anyway, that's that scene.
Yeah, look, the fact that Jonathan has a picture of Winona Ryder open on his desk while he's doing the paperwork for Carfax Abbey, that's so stupid. I will say that that was clumsy storytelling.
Oh, yeah. So now we meet Lucy, which is Mina's bestie. And it's a short scene, but it establishes the differences between Lucy and Mina. And she's pretty much opposite to Mina. Mina is very conservative and very, very kind of stoic. And Lucy's more of not victim, a vixen. She flirts with the boys. You know, she wears, what is it like kind of revealing thing. She's got her big hair out, like, and they're looking at a kind of Kama Sutra book, and Lucy is intrigued. She's like, oh my God, I did that just last night. And Lucy's like, no, you didn't. Like, it's just a funny scene. And then Mina is more embarrassed, but it establishes the friendship between them. So I liked it.
I really like that this scene establishes the differences between Mina and her best friend. Lucy's a free spirit, and Mina is not. And I just like the way that Francis Ford Coppola did that, and the writers did that because I can't remember if it's in this scene or if it's in the other scene when a bunch of men show up, and Lucy just goes over there and she sort of plays the men against one another.
Now we learn more about Renfield. So we know that since he came back from Dracula's castle, he's had a bloodlust for bugs. He just eats bugs. And Dr. Seward, who is he doesn't, I was going to say he owns the asylum. He watches over the patients and tries to help them. He's trying to work out what the hell happened, but Renfield is so far gone. He just keeps mumbling rubbish. And then Renfield says, the master will come and make me immortal. I understand what you're saying, Marcelo, about they just used him. What did you say?
For exposition?
For exposition, yeah, because he comes in, he says some weird shit, and then he goes out. That's why I wanted more from his character.
The Renfield stuff didn't work for me because, like Dean said, he just shows up, he just spouts exposition, and then he just fucks off.
So we're back to Jonathan. He's at the castle and he's in his room and he's shaving when he nicks himself on the neck. And Dracula is fucking right at the door. He's like, "Hey, what's up?" I'm like,
Oh,
I was like, "Where the fuck did you come from?"
Oh my god! Oh my god! It's so funny. I imagine fucking Gary up is going, "Hey, what's up?" Oh my god!
He tells him to be careful. He walks into the room with fucking towels or whatever the fuck he's carrying. I don't know. Tells him to be careful. And then takes the knife, turns around and licks the blood off of it, which is fucking creepy. Jonathan doesn't see this, but it's just like the way that Gary Oldman does it is just so fucking slimy. And then
So
basically
great.
it's so great. And then basically tells Jonathan to stay in his room. Don't go out of your room. Stay in your room. And of course, if you tell someone to stay, they're gonna fucking not stay. He spots Jonathan's cross that he's got around his neck and reacts violently to it. Well, but he doesn't physically do anything. He just reacts to it and he says to him, "You shouldn't put You shouldn't put faith in trinkets of deceit." I love that line. That's such a good line.
That's
And then
such
he
a good
leaves.
line.
So good. And then Dracula leaves. And then Jonathan and this is so creepy. Jonathan looks out. He's literally Dracula's just fucked off from the room. Jonathan looks out the window and he sees him crawling on the side of the castle and has no reaction.
It's so stupid.
He just looks and he's like, "Oh, okay," and then closes the fucking window. I would be out. I would be out.
Oh my god!
What the fuck?
Dude!
Oh
Everything about this scene just made me so uncomfortable.
my god.
Because look, when Dracula comes in, he decides to shave Jonathan's neck. What in
Yeah.
the fuck?
Yeah, Jonathan has no problem with this. Yeah, cool.
I really like the fact that Dracula does not give a two fucking shits about decorum. He doesn't care about hiding who he is.
Yeah. Yep. That's true. So Jonathan decides to explore the castle because he was told not to. So now he does. When he hears a woman's voice that sounds like Mina's calling his name, and then fucking enter Dracula's three hoes. And it starts out, there's this massive bed. Their introduction is pretty cool because they kind of rise up out of the bed. It actually looks pretty cool. It starts out sexy, then it turns not sexy. And you're like, oh, this has taken a turn. And they start biting him. And then Dracula comes in and he's fucking pissed. He's like, "No, what are you doing?" And he tells them, "You don't touch him. He's mine." And then they ask, "But what are we going to eat?" And Dracula turns around and he presents them with a baby. So this is what it takes. Someone eating a baby in front of you to freak out. Everything else, he was so stoic. And okay, great. It's like, what the fuck? You should have been freaking out when he drew a sword on you when you were having dinner. When you said something, that's when you should have freaked out. No, it takes eating a baby to freak you out. But whatever, at least he's freaked out now. He's like, "Oh, something should be wrong." You just saw Dracula climbing on the side of the castle and now something is wrong? Jonathan, for fuck's sake, man. Come on.
I love the scene when Jonathan walked to the castle and he comes upon Dracula's, I'll say it, hose. That's right, I said it, hose.
That's what they are.
Yeah.
Listen,
Thank you,
they've
thank-
always got their tits out. Okay, they're scantily clad. I mean, they're ho-hos. They're not
Yeah.
his friends.
No.
You know, they're not his sisters. They're not family. They're his three hoes. Isn't it
Okay, here we
cold
go.
there? Maybe he's got central heating in the castle. I don't fucking. He's rich as fuck. Why not? But vampires don't need heat, so maybe that's why they don't feel the cold. But Jonathan walks around in like a shirt and pants, so they must be not cold in the car. I don't know why I'm talking about this. This is so on a fucking tangent of like nothing. It's literally leading nowhere. Oh, fucking hell. Like fucking central heating in Dracula's castle.
When Jonathan goes, exploring about the castle, that doesn't really make sense to me because, like Dean just said, he saw Dracula walk on the fucking walls 2 minutes ago, and that doesn't make him panic. No, and also, I like that. I love the way that he doesn't listen when Dracula tells him something. What does Dracula tell him when he gives him that really creepy shave, or when he gives him that, or when he gives him that awesome line about what he thinks about religion? He says, "Don't fucking go walking across, don't go wandering around my fucking castle because these rooms have bad memories."
Mm.
And when he goes walking in the castle, where does he come upon? He comes upon Dracula's hoochie mamas, and they basically eat him for a couple
Yeah.
minutes or something.
Yeah.
But I love the way that um that Francis directs a scene when Dracula shows up, because when Dracula shows up, the DP lights Gary Oldman like the back of his head with the red halo is so fucking cool.
Mm. Mm.
Like, it is unbelievably cool the way that he does it. Also, I love the fact that Dracula says, "No, you can have you can have this one. This one's mine." And
Mm.
I love it when his hoochie mama, when his hosts go, "Okay, if we can have this one, what are we gonna eat?" I love it, the fact that Dracula is considering, he goes, "Oh, I have to feed my hooch, I have to feed my host, so what am I gonna give them?" Does he give him a dog? No. Does he give him a cat? No. Does he give him another human? No. He gives him a baby. That is so fucking wrong and sick, but I love it.
So Mina receives a letter from Jonathan saying that he has to stay for a month and everything is fine. Now, Dracula has forced Jonathan to write letters to people saying that everything is fine. But Mina knows something's up. She's like, yeah, this is not how he writes. Something's wrong, but she doesn't know necessarily what is wrong. And then we go to Jonathan and Jonathan sees Dracula's workers filling up boxes with dirt from the castle and shipping it to Carfax Abbey. Now we go to the Demeter. We're on the ship traveling to London from Transylvania, and there's a voiceover. Captain's log says that they loaded 50 boxes of earth, and the crew keeps going missing. And now we see Dracula turn from Gary Oldman to a beast. Now, I want to say something about this movie. This movie was made in 1992. I love the practical effects they use. There's I think 3 or 4 like prosthetics they use for Gary Oldman in different stages of his kind of Dracula-ness, and it looks good. It looks like they made it today. Like the beast that he turns into, it's like a werewolf, but it's not a werewolf. It's like a werewolf, bear, something, but it's really scary. The way that I don't know who did the prosthetics, but it's do you know what I'm saying? Like the beast
Yes, absolutely.
aspect is so
Yeah.
cool.
Yes, absolutely. The prosthetic work in this movie is fantastic. It wouldn't surprise me if Stan Winston has something to do with these prosthetics. I don't know who did,
Hmm.
but if you guys know, email us and tell us who did the prosthetic. Tell us who did the prosthetic work for this movie, because it was just amazing how they did this. It was absolutely amazing.
It was. So as the ship docks in London, we get a really cool POV. I love how he's done this. Of we're on the ship, and then we've got a POV of it's basically the camera racing off the ship and racing down the road and like really really fast to Lucy's house, where Mina is staying. Mina is staying with Lucy, but Dracula is summoning Lucy. So that POV was him getting off the ship and going to Lucy's house because he knows where Mina is, and what is it, summoning Lucy. Lucy goes to him, and Mina follows. So Lucy's gone out of the house. She's gone down into the garden, and she sees Lucy and the Beast basically having sex, which is just, it's an iconic scene because it's weird, not because it's sexy in any way, shape, or form. It's just weird. He's having sex with the Beast and he's drinking the blood from her neck. And Mina sees this, and the Beast turns around and sees Mina is watching, and he looks her dead in the eye and says, "No, do not see me." And then he vanishes. And she's forgotten that he was there, and all she sees is Lucy lying there in the middle of the fucking garden. So I thought it was really cool. We kind of get a scope of Dracula's powers. Like he can kind of mind control, he can turn into different animals. Um, yeah, what do you think?
I really like the way that this movie treats his sexuality, because most Dracula movies treat their sexuality as like sexy, right? Being dead
Yeah.
and becoming becoming a monster and becoming an undead thing is is sexy and it's fun. This movie doesn't do that. This movie treats his sexuality and the act of becoming undead like a fucking horror show. I love that about this movie. Do you feel the same way, or is that just me?
Yeah, it is. They treat it very sexy, like, oh, if you're a vampire, you lure people in, you have like amazing sex. But it doesn't happen in this movie. It's very, I don't it's almost like a turn off. Do you know what I mean?
There's only one scene in this movie that romanticizes becoming a member of the undead.
So now we're at Carfax Abbey, which is the property that Dracula bought. The boxes have been unloaded into the car into the abbey, and we learn vampires can move around during the day, but their powers are weakened. And then we see Count Dracula rise from the box as a young man. Basically, he looks like how he looked in the opening scene. He looks younger, younger Gary Oldman. So now we're on the streets of London. I love how this is shot. The costume design of everybody, it's awesome. And Dracula looks very dapper. Looks very
I
nice. Looks very upper class, very aristocrat. He spots Mina, and she looks at him because he's like, "See me," and she kind of turns and looks at him, and then looks away. And he makes it so they bump into each other, and he's very nice and he's very polite. And she's very standoffish with him. He's like, "Oh, do you know where the theater is?" And she's like, "Yeah, well, maybe you should just like find it yourself." Like she's just like, but rightly so. He's like this weird guy coming up to her, but he's very polite. And then she kind of realizes she might have been a bit rude. And then he introduces himself as Prince Vlad. And she's intrigued. She's like, "Oh, a prince." And he's like, "Yeah, like I didn't mean anything by I didn't mean to push her." He doesn't say that, but that's what he's saying in like kind of old timey dialogue. And yeah, she's still a bit standoffish, but not as much as she was before. So yeah, I like that meeting scene because it made sense. Listen, the writer could have written it like Mina was entranced by him and was drawn in by him. And, but he didn't. He made it so Mina was like, fuck off. I don't want it. Who the fuck are you? Which is normal to what a woman would do to a guy that's kind of pestering her. So I like the realism of that.
Mina and Dracula's relationship is my favorite part of this movie. I wish that they spent more time on this relationship. I
Mm.
feel I feel that this movie is three movies chucked into one.
Yeah, definitely could have been part one or part two.
I could have done with a whole movie building up the relationship between Mina and Dracula, and have part two be Mina find out about Dracula's true identity, and have Jonathan escape from the castle in part two, and have him hunt down and do all that and introduce Van Helsing, and also in the second part, because we haven't even gotten to Van Helsing yet.
Oh, I have thoughts on Van Helsing.
I loved the introduction scene between Mina and Dracula. I love the set design. I love how many extras were on set or were actually
Mm.
on the set.
Even I went, oh my God, there's a fuckload of extras. Like, there was at least 100. Lucy calls on her doctor, which is Dr. Seward, and tells him basically her symptoms. She's lying down. She looks really pale. She says, "My senses are heightened. I can hear the ants in the attic. I can hear the servants at the other end of the house whispering." Dr. Seward has no idea what is going on. Her symptoms don't match up with fucking anything. She's like, "I'm tired. I just want to sleep." And Dr. Seward tells Lucy's fiance that he's contacted someone called Abraham Van Helsing because he is at a loss to what is wrong with Lucy. And Van Helsing is his mentor, and he is an expert in blood diseases. And then we see two little bite marks on Lucy's neck. And we know, because we're watching a vampire movie, that this is why Lucy is sick, if we didn't already know. So that kind of sets up the entrance of Van Helsing.
Yeah, you know what? I kind of feel bad for Lucy because she was sort of set up to be Dracula's blood bag.
She was set up to be cannon fodder, which is a shame because I actually really like her character.
Right, yeah, right.
Mm.
But you know what? I really, really, really like the way that they use her character to sort of prove to everybody else around Mina and Van Helsing, who we'll see in a moment. They sort of use her character as a way to prove the existence of the undead to everybody that doesn't believe it.
Yes, she serves a purpose for the story. So Mina and Prince Vlad or Dracula are at like a show. When he pulls her aside, he is so impatient. He literally saw her 5 minutes ago, and instead of wooing her, he's like, "Oh, this is taking too long." So he pulls her, and he pulls her, and he drags her to the back of the where they're at. But they glide. They don't walk. They glide, which I like. I
Yeah.
thought that was really cool.
So cool.
And he says something to her in, I would assume it's Romanian. There's no translation for it, even with
It's
the
Romanian.
subtitles.
Yeah.
I don't know what he
It's
says.
yeah, it's Romanian.
Yeah. And she says to him, whatever he said to her, she says to him, "My God, I know you." And you're like, "Oh, okay, so it's starting to come back." And then he says the most iconic line of the whole movie, "I have crossed oceans of time to find you," which is just like the best line ever.
Oh,
Then she snaps out of it. She's entranced by him. She snaps out of it and is just really confused. And then at this point, and then he goes to bite her. Now this confused me. He goes to bite her, but can't, or gets distracted because there's a white wolf that comes in. Now, does he not want to bite her just not to bite her, or does he get distracted by the wolf that comes in? And the wolf is one of his hoes? Yes? No? Who's the wolf?
uh, yes,
The white wolf.
I believe so.
Right. Okay. So did the wolf come in to because that it could be jealous?
They're jealous. They're
Yeah.
jealous, but you know, here's the thing. Here's the thing with Dracula, uh, and Mina. I truly believe that Dracula fell in love with Mina for real, and that's why he had trouble, and he has trouble biting her,
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
even when she's begging for it
Yes.
later on.
Yes. Yeah.
He doesn't want to do it
Yeah.
because he knows if he does it, what will he be doing? He will be damning her to a life of to an eternity of misery and
Yep.
darkness.
Yep. Yep.
And you don't do that to people you love. I just think that it really, really laid the groundwork for the fact that Dracula may have thought that his relationship with Mina could was going to be one way, but this interaction maybe showed him that this relationship is going to be a little bit more than he bargained for.
So, and just in case anybody forgot, Jonathan is still at the fucking castle, and basically, the three hoes are draining him of just enough blood to keep him weak enough so he can't escape. That's a short scene, but that shows why he hasn't left, what's happening, he's not dead, and why he can't go anywhere. So that's that.
Yeah, this scene and a smattering of others that we've talked about really proved to me that they should have split this movie up into two movies
Mm.
because there's far too much stuff in here.
Yeah. It's too quick. It's too quick.
Yeah, and also, the fact that there's too much stuff in here. Also, I think the pacing is off a little bit.
It depends because sometimes it flows, but then sometimes it doesn't. So I'm like on the fence. So Van Helsing arrives at the house when he enters Lucy's bedroom and he sees a shadow of a beast on her, basically feeding on her, and then the shadow kind of disappears out the window. He checks her neck, he sees the bite marks, and seeming to know exactly what's going on, and we'll see why he knows what's going on, he quickly quickly goes, "Okay, we need to do a blood transfusion now to try and save her life because she was drained of blood." And then Van Helsing tells them Lucy has been attacked by something dead, but not dead, a beast. My thoughts on this scene are this. I don't like Keanu Reeves as Harker. I don't like Anthony Hopkins. I like him even less as Van Helsing. This was terrible casting. It was terrible. The way that he played the character was terrible. The fact that he's a doctor and he just grabbed a random person and says, "Let's do a blood transfusion." Listen, maybe I'm looking too deep into this, but you need to know someone's blood type because if you put a different person's blood type into a different person, that's going to kill them. It's not going to help. So, those are my thoughts on that scene.
I don't like. Listen, I love Anthony Hopkins. I love him as Hannibal Lecter, Doctor Hannibal Lecter, and I love him in many other roles that he's done. But I think I'm with Dean on this one. He was miscast in this movie because he overacts his ass off throughout this movie. I like the direction that Francis Ford Coppola must have told him, Sir Anthony Hopkins, you can do whatever the fuck you want, because some of the line readings that he gives in this movie, it didn't work for me. And I'm so happy that you brought up the blood transfusion bit. That was bullshit.
Yeah.
Anthony Hopkins did not work for me. And the way that Anthony Hopkins would speak to certain characters and how he would expect them to know certain things, I'm like, how do you expect it to know that? These are just normal people. And
Yeah.
you're fucking telling them that an undead vampire is walking around? What is wrong with you?
So Mina has dinner with the Count, and she begins describing his homeland of Romania as if she's been there. She describes the trees, the land, and she's not been there before. So, and then she starts talking about the princess. She hasn't made the connection that that's her. She's just recalling weird flashes and memories in her mind that she doesn't know where it's coming from. She starts talking about a princess, and she actually describes her as a river of sadness and heartbreak. Because she flung herself off and she died in a river, and she was heartbroken and she was sad. Um, so yeah, I really like that scene of Mina tapping into her past life, past self of Elizabetha. So yeah, that was cool. So it shows that yes, it doesn't just look like her; it is the same soul, just in another body.
Wow. I mean, yeah, that scene had all sorts of subtext.
Jonathan, we're back to Jonathan. He's still in castle. Jonathan,
Can't
fucking hell.
this guy get out?
Every time it goes to Jonathan, I'm like, oh yeah, he's at the castle. Forget about him. Oh my god. So anyway, Jonathan manages to escape. He basically musters up enough energy to jump out the window into the river, and he escapes to a church. And one of the sisters actually writes to Mina, telling her Jonathan thinks that she's in danger and urges her to go to him so they can be married straight away. And Mina receives the letter and is basically so happy that he's okay. Basically, he's just said that he's just got like a fever or something. That's why he's been, writing weird shit to her. So Mina visits Lucy. Lucy's basically fucking on death's door to tell her the news. Lucy is very sick, but Mina doesn't want to leave her. But Lucy's a good character because she's like, do not worry about me. I want you to be happy. I want you to go. I want you to marry the guy that you love. Like, you connect with her. She's fucking dying and she's like, go
She's
and do this.
great.
She's
No,
great.
and she also on her deathbed she gives Mina her ring.
Yes. Yeah, so she's a good friend. And then Mina goes away. And then Lucy's fiance comes in, and Lucy then tries to basically bite her fiance because she goes kind of in and out of kind of being like consciousness. She tries to bite her fiance's friend, and Van Helsing sees Lucy has two extra sharp teeth. So yeah, he knows that she's turning into a vampire. So thoughts?
I love the fact that Jonathan finally got away from the hose. But it, yeah. Hey guys, lesson in life: if you have hoes that have you trapped in a basement, lo and behold, you can escape them too. Jonathan did it, so you can too. Yeah, no, look. I really like the scene with Mina and her best friend who's on death's door, Lucy, because like Dean said, it shows you that Lucy was a good person that just got sort of the bad end of or that sort of got the short end of the stick
Mm.
with being Dracula's blood bag. But I also feel really bad for Dracula because he has struck up this relationship with Mina, and at the drop of the hat, this woman, cock blocks him and just ends their relationship like that.
Mm.
What the hell? First of all, Mina, you shouldn't have done that in the first place. You were supposed to be married to this brilliant lawyer guy,
Mm.
and then you pick up a guy on the street and start dating this guy. What is wrong with you? Where are your scruples, woman?
She's confused though. That's the thing. She's super confused. Because
Okay,
of the next scene where Mina is on a ship to Transylvania. She sends Dracula a letter basically saying she's going to marry Jonathan and she can never see him again. Suffice it to say, he doesn't take it well. Mina is confused because she's like, she still has feelings for the Count, but she knows that Jonathan is the right one to marry, so she just doesn't. She's confused. And we also find out this, I fucking laughed at this. I was like, come on, dude. We also find out that Van Helsing suspects Dracula, a being he has hunted his whole life. That's news to me.
I did not like the fact that we found out that uh, that Van Helsing's lifelong ambition was to track Dracula down. Like, and we found out in that way, and I hated the way that Anthony Hopkins just basically was jovial about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, really, dude? This is a fucking monster that can rip your head off in a second, and you're actually happy about this?
So Mina and Jonathan get married, and Dracula he's fucking pissed. He's fucking pissed off, and he's like, basically, I'm condensing it, but he's basically Dracula's like, all right, I'm pissed off. I'm gonna kill your best friend, and she's gonna become a vampire. So fucking there, and he does. He kills her, and Van Helsing tells Doctor Seward he wants him to get some post-mortem knives, and Dr. Seward says, oh, like for an autopsy because Lucy's now dead. And then Van Helsing goes, no, I just want to cut her head off and take out her heart. Like, what the fuck? Dude, what was that?
My least favorite character in this whole fucking movie is, you guessed it, folks, Van Helsing. It's just so stupid.
Yeah.
It's so dumb.
So Mina and Jonathan get back to London, and Mina says that she still has feelings for the prince, and she doesn't say it to him. It's like a fucking voiceover. She still has feelings for the prince, and he's always in her thoughts. Well, you don't go and marry someone if you've got feelings for someone else, because that's shit for the person that you didn't marry, and it's shit for the person that you did marry, and it's shit for you. It's shit for everybody involved. But she is a victim of her time. So she was like, this is what you do. This is what I agreed to. I can't back out now, which I get it. In those times, it was just like you just had to do it. So Van Helsing goes to Lucy's coffin with her fiancé and a few other people to see her body. And the fiancé is like, why are we doing this? And he just goes, I just want to see if she's there. If she's there, she's there. If she's not, then we've got a problem. And the fiancé is like, why the fuck wouldn't she be there? So he says she's the undead. They remove the lid of the coffin and it's empty. And the fiance's like, basically the fiance looks at Van Helsing. He's like, what have you done with her? And I'm, oh yeah, hey, he came down to show you he wasn't there because he did it. Like, fuck it. Anyway, this is, oh my God, this is actually really creepy. It creeps me out even now. Lucy shows up in the most dramatic death outfit I have ever seen. It should be on the runway of fucking Milan.
Yeah,
it was full on, right?
Her coffin is gorgeous. It's glass.
It's glass. And oh my God, it was just so fucking and her face is completely painted white, which I liked. It's just really creepy. And she's carrying a child that's screaming. I'm like, oh my God.
Where the fuck do they find these kids?
I don't know. There's kids everywhere. Go outside down the fucking 10 paces. I'll find a child for you. They scatter the earth. They're fucking everywhere. So Van Helsing puts a cross to her and she freaks out. And she gets back in her fucking coffin, casket, the fuck it is. And then Van Helsing hands her fiance a steel stake, telling him to put it through her heart. And then Van Helsing, he does. And then and there's fucking blood everywhere. Then Van Helsing chops the head off. And now Dracula's really pissed because he knows that fucking Lucy is dead. But funny thing about that scene, that child that the actress that plays Lucy is carrying was really fucking terrified. And between each take had to be calmed down by Frances and the actress playing Lucy because she was so freaked. Rightly so. It freaks me out looking at it because she looked at the character and she's just freaked the fuck out.
Guys, that doesn't surprise me because guys, that fucking freaks me out.
Yeah,
and I'm a
poor child.
and I'm a grown adult.
Yeah. Thoughts?
Yeah. No, but Listen, that scene was fantastic. I just loved everything about it because I love the moment when they go down in the coffin and they open up Lucy's crypt and she's not there. And I do think that it's really stupid when Carrie Elways points a gun at Van Helsing and goes, "Where is she?" So stupid.
Yeah.
But my favorite part is when Lucy shows up and she sort of just walks to her coffin, and you don't really see what she's got until she turns around, and it's just so creepy and so unsettling. Also, I love the fact that Van Helsing is the one that says to Carrie Always, "Here, you kill her." Like, come on, really?
Yeah. Yep. I was
Yeah,
like, "Well, you want really? You don't wanna do it? This is your thing."
yeah, yeah. It's your thing.
Jonathan tells Van Helsing that he knows where Dracula sleeps as he sold him the house, Carfax Abbey. So Van Helsing says, "This is we should have known this at the beginning. I don't know why we know this 10 minutes from the fucking end." Van Helsing says it won't be easy to destroy him as he has the strength of 20 men, can control animals, appear as mist and fog, vanish at will, and bullets won't hurt him. That would have been interesting
Huh?
at the beginning of the movie,
Yeah,
not
at
at
the
the end.
beginning.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, okay, because he's been turning into animals the whole time. He's been turning into mist. He's been doing it, but it hasn't been established that like that should have been said before.
Maybe Francis and the writer thought that they had conveyed that visually.
Yeah.
Maybe they weren't sure that the audience got their visual storytelling.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that maybe made them double down by having Van Helsing actually say it, or it could have been a studio note.
Yeah, it could have been. So, it's still in that scene. Dr. Seward takes Mina because they're going to Carfax Abbey to hunt Dracula to kill him. Now, they need to keep Mina away. Dr. Seward takes Mina and puts Mina at his work. Dr. Seward works at a lunatic asylum. He lives upstairs. He's put her upstairs where he lives in the lunatic asylum. He says, "Don't worry, you'll be safe here." He's put no guard there. Nobody's there to protect her. There's crazy people downstairs. And I'm like, what the fuck is. And then Renfield tells Mina, because Renfield is there, and he looks at Mina and he says, "You're the one my master wants. He will come for you." And I'm like, oh. I don't know.
Yeah, this scene didn't work for me because it's just so stupid. Why would you take someone that you care about and someone who's being hunted by an undead person and put them in an insane asylum and say you'll be safe here? And why do you let them talk to a fucking patient of yours? Why?
Why indeed? So Van Helsing, Jonathan, and others go to Carfax Abbey and start basically destroying the joint. So because Dracula, now we know he can be missed, he mists his way out and to Mina because he knows where she is. And of course, she's by herself at the lunatic asylum. So he's there and they don't see him because he's missed, where she tells him she wants to be with him forever. He reveals that he is Dracula. And this is interesting because Mina loses it and goes, "You killed Lucy." But it's interesting because I didn't realize that Mina knew who Dracula was. There was no conversation between her and Van Helsing about Dracula. So how does she know who Dracula is? Yeah.
Oops. Uh-oh.
She knows he killed Lucy, but says she loves him anyway. Well, if that's not true love, I don't know what is. You killed my best friend, but I fucking love you anyway, and I want to be with you. That's true love. So, anyway, she says she wants to be what he is because he is her love and he is her life. He bites her and then says he can't do it because he would be cursing her to his world, and he doesn't want to do that. And he loves her too much to condemn her. And she doesn't care. She's like, "No, I don't care. I want to be like you. I want to be with you." And we switch to Van Helsing. Van Helsing, Jonathan burst in because somehow they know that somehow they know he's not in the castle and they know where he is. And they got there pretty damn quick because that scene between Jonathan and Mina was not fucking very long. Anyway, they burst in and Dracula turns into like a human bat creature, which is like the coolest thing maybe I've ever seen. Like whoever did the prosthetics, fucking legend. Awesome. And he tells them He can't be defeated, and then fucks off, then vanishes, fucks off. Thoughts?
This is actually my favorite scene of the whole movie because I'm such a fan of the Mina and Dracula relationship. And to, I mean, I mean, Winona Ryder is one of my favorites, but the way that she conveys emotion in the scene is my absolute favorite. She doesn't
Mm.
give two fucks about Jonathan. She just wants to be with Dracula, and I love her commitment to the scene because she fucking
Oh,
goes.
yeah, she committed.
I mean, she fucking and Gary Oldman gave her as much as she gave him, and the way that he says to her, "I don't want you, I don't want to bite you because I don't want to damn you to an eternity of misery because I love you too fucking much." That to me, I got like, oh yes, that got me right there.
I know, because it
This
shows you he's not a monster. He's not.
Yeah, no. And also, it reminds you he became a monster because of his issues with God.
Yes. So Van Helsing hypnotizes Mina because apparently he can do that. He can hypnotize.
How?
If that wasn't set up, apparently he fucking can do that. And she connects to Dracula, saying that he's gone back to Transylvania to regain his power. And then they travel. They travel there using Mina as bait because they're going to go kill him. So the three hoes start basically. I'm condensing this because I feel like this went on so fucking long and it didn't need
Too
to go on
long.
so fucking long. So the
Too
three
long.
hoes start causing trouble and Van Helsing basically beheads them. It was so simple for him to do that though. So fucking simple. I was like, okay, well, that didn't work for me. Um, Dracula shows up. They what is it? They slit his throat and plunge. I'm reading my notes. They plunge a stake into his heart. He stumbles into like his castle. Mina sits next to him as he dies, and he says it's okay because you know what? There's a part of him that wants to die. There's a part of him that just doesn't want to go on anymore, and he kind of looks at her like, "Do it, finish it, because I don't want to be here and I don't want to be what I am." Because he's realized what he is just like he doesn't want to be this. So she plunges the stake further into his heart, um, and there is a dialogue, a voiceover that she says, "Our love is stronger than death," and I love that. Again, it's this beautiful love story, and she's crying, she's killing the person that she loves, like, and then she cuts his head off, which is even worse. And then she looks up and sees, I love this. I love it. This is the final shot of the movie. She looks up and she sees a mural of her as Elizabeta and him as Prince Vlad flying together and him holding her up. And it just like from the 1800s. No, from the 1600s. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful. You just want to cry. It's so beautiful. And that's the end.
This last scene with Elizabetha and Vlad in the church, and what she says to him and what sort of he admits to her is fantastic. When he dies, like, and I love the shot how Francis pans up to his face and you see his true face.
Oh, yeah.
It
Yeah.
it's just so lovely. And then how he pans up to the mural above their heads, and Dean mentioned what it was. The ending of this movie is so fantastic. Would you like to go to your trivia?
Yeah, I would. So, and this is a tribute to Francis. At the first meeting, Francis Ford Coppola got all the principal actors to read the novel of Dracula to really know the story and their characters, which is what, if a movie is based on a book, the director should make the actors do.
I love the fact that Francis Ford Coppola made all his actors read the actual book of Dracula because not a lot of directors do that.
So, Gary Oldman hired a singing coach to help him lower his voice to give Dracula like a more sinister quality.
That is really cool, and that's such a interesting the singing coach. Okay,
Mm. Gary Oldman decided to do the movie because he loved the line, "I've crossed oceans of time to find you." Literally, that's why he did it, because he wanted to say that line.
that's
Yes.
so cool that he did the movie because of one line.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
So my last piece of trivia is, and this is interesting considering Winona Ryder and Gary Oldman had such good chemistry, they didn't get along. They didn't like each other because
Really?
Winona said Gary's acting method was way too intense for her because his method.
Yep.
So it was too much for her. But look at the chemistry they've got. It was so good.
It was so good. But, but isn't that often the case? People that hate each other on set have the best chemistry?
I don't know, probably.
All right, guys. So that'll do it for this edition. If you guys like our show and want to send us comments, questions, concerns, whatever, you can email us, themixtapepod at AOL.com. If you guys want to come back for next week, we'll be talking about the film entitled I, Tanya. Until next time, if someone is kind enough to make you a mixtape, that must truly mean that they love you.
The Mixtape Podcast is a Balloonhead Productions presentation.